This first one, so when we simplify this, it works out easy. So this is the same as saying what? 4 to the 14 divided by 7, which is the same as 4 squared, which is 16. Right? If I was to rewrite this, we get what? We get the cubed root of 64 to the power of 4. So that's just 4 to the 4th, which is 256. Right. Over here, so we have to take the 4th root of both of these. Well, the 4th root of 81 is just 3. Now, when we take the 4th root of x to the 5th, 4 goes into 5 one time, so x to the 1. 4 into 5 once. And then there's 1 remaining. So 4th root of x to the 1, so there's 1 remaining. So that would be the final answer. Right, in letter D, we're going to split this up. Cube root, x to the 5th, cube root of 27. So let's look here. So 3 goes into 5 once, so x. There's a remainder of 2, so x squared is remaining. Well, over here, we simply have just 3. All right, so number 2a. So we want to get whatever is being raised to the exponent by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. It's going to be x to the 4th is equal to 625. Then I want to take the 4th root of both sides. So get used to your calculator. Once again, how do we do this? Refresher here. So we're going to hit 4. You're going to hit math, and you're going to go down to the 5th one.
When I do that, it tells
So
me
that's
the answer.
4th root of 625. And that gives us 5. It should tell you the answer. So we get x equals, now we have to remember that 4 is an even index, so it's plus or minus 5.
And if it's an odd index, does it have
Just the one sign. If it's an odd index, it's just the one sign. And letter B, add 76 to both sides. Right. Take the 5th root of both sides. Once again, how we do this here. 5th root, so 5, math 5, of 7776. We get 6 as our answer. No plus or minus because it's the 5th root.
So what does that mean? Is odds and evens?
Alright, so we have what's being squared by itself already. So square root of both sides, so x plus 2 equals plus or minus square root of 28. Subtract 2 from both sides. X equals negative 2 plus or minus radical 28. Now we have to break down 28. So 28 is easy because we know there's a perfect square in 28. What is it? 4 and 7. So the square root of 4 is 2. So we get x equals negative 2 plus or minus 2 radical 7. And that's the final answer. Alright, moving on. In letter A, now we have to get rid of that negative 3/4. So I'll multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So multiply by negative 4/3. Negative 4/3. So it cancels on that side. We get x to the 1/5 equals. So the 3's cancel, the negatives cancel, we just get 4. Now in order to get rid of 1/5, we have to raise to the power of 5. So these cancel. We get x equals 4 to the 5th, which is 1,024. Right. So now we have to do a quick check on this. So negative 3/4 times 1,024 to the power of 1/5 equals negative 3. Right? So 1,024 to the power of 1/5 is just 4.
Hmm?
1,024 to the power of 1/5 is just 4. 4's cancel. We get negative 3 equals negative 3. All right, looking at the next one. So whatever the radical is by itself already. We want to get rid of the cubed root. So I'll raise it to the power of 3, which is the index. So I'm going to get 2x plus 6 equals 64. Yep, minus 6, minus 6.
So you give us
2x is equal to 58.
And that equals to 29.
Divided by 2, divided by 2. X equals 29. So I'm going to take that value, plug it into the original. All right. So we get a cube root, 58. 6 equals 4. Cube root of 64 equals 4. Cube root of 64 is 4. Equals 4, so it works. All right, so letter C. So now the radical isn't by itself. We want to make it by itself. So I have to get rid of 6. So divide by 6. Gives me 6. Square both sides. So we get x plus 5 equal to 36. Minus 5 from both. X equals 31. So we have to check that. So 6 radical 31 plus 5. 36. Well, this is 6 radical 36 is equal to 36. Good. Radical 36 is 6. And that is true. All right, letter D. So the radical is already isolated. We don't have to do anything there. We want to get rid of it. So we're going to square both sides. So this is good. X squared minus 6x plus 9. Good. Now that we have a quadratic, the x squared, we want to bring everything to that side. So minus x minus 3. So we get x squared minus 7x plus 6 equals 0.
As for the factoring out,
So we're going to factor
that's x minus 1 minus 6,
x minus 6. Good.
which give us positive 1 and positive 6.
Right, so these are our solutions at this point, but we have to check both. So let's try x equals 6. So if I plug it in, let's see what happens. So 6 plus 3 equals 6 minus 3. Well, square root of 9 equals 3. So we have 3 equals 3. That works. Right? Let's try x equals 1. So we'll have the square root of 1 plus 3 equals 1 minus 3. So we have the square root of 4 equals negative 2.
Don't you already know now that it doesn't work?
Correct, because at this point,
You want a negative?
we have a negative. We're not solving for anything, so it's not going to be plus or minus. It's just the square root of 4 is simply 2, and that is not equal to negative 2. So we know here that x equals 1 is an extraneous solution.
Can I ask you a question, sir?
So here we're looking at the first one is a square root function. All right, so AHK. So A is what? Negative 1. H is negative 4. And K is negative 2. So describe the transformations. So we have a reflection
Of x negative 1.
over the x-axis.
Wait, so if it's positive, is it a reflection over the y-axis?
There's no, you just don't say anything. There's no
It's all
reflection.
the same?
There's no reflection. So the question was, if A is positive, you just don't say anything because there's no reflection.
How about just put the reflect x negative 1?
No.
Right.
H is negative 4, so that means we move 4 units to the left. And then K being negative 2, we move 2 units
Down.
down. All right, so domain and range is always going to start with all real numbers. Now, the domain relates to the H value. So we're going to have X, and we're going to have 4. Well, negative 4. So it's always going to be greater than or equal to. Okay? That's easy enough. Now for the range,
Where'd you get the x
because domain relates to X. For range, it's all real numbers. We're going to have Y, some inequality sign, and then negative 2. Now, the inequality sign we use is going to be based off of the A value. Since A is negative, it'll be less than or equal to. If A was positive, it would be greater than or equal to. All right, AHK. So A is a third, H is positive 5, and K is negative 4.
You want to be positive 4?
Oh, yeah, positive 4. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not going to be totally difference.
Positive 4, right? That sign doesn't change. All right, so now we still have 3 things going on. So for transformations, the A value of 1/3 tells us we have a vertical
Shrink.
shrink. Right? H being a 5 units
Right?
to the right. And then K being positive 4, we're going to go 4 units
Up.
up. Now, for domain and range, now this is a cube root function, right? Cube root function. So domain and range are simply just all real numbers. There's no restrictions on them
Really?
because the graph goes in both directions. There's no restriction.
So we just leave that R.
All real numbers, yep.